Hello, you're watching The Annuity Show, and we are talking with the featured expert in the book, A Journey to Financial Security, Elise Roberts, about inflation riders and whether they're worth the extra cost. So Elise, can you tell me, what do inflation riders usually cost?
So that's a big question, because a lot of annuities now have features, and we've talked about this before. They have features that allow you protection from inflation. And a lot of times there's no cost. Sometimes there is.
Right.
And if there's a cost, a rider has a cost, there's a purpose. So when we think about inflation riders, it's kind of something that I have found that's mostly in today's world not what it used to be. You used to purchase an inflation rider that would make your check go up a certain amount, and you would pay for that. Today, most of it is more market linked. So let's just say it's a fixed indexed annuity, okay? And variables can work that way as well. The negative is there, that means your check could go down.
Right.
And again, we talked about that, and there's some now that don't go down. So let's kind of clear it up, because I can get pretty wide here. When I think of inflation riders, which I would call the COLA, cost of living adjustment.
Okay.
Most of the time I would say that's found in the pension plan that is sending you the options. You work for a company, you're retired, they send you your pension options. Here's how much you can take if it's a lump sum. Here's how much income you will get if you take it out over certain periods of time. And then there's the lifetime of income. So the lifetime of income is the one that with the inflation rider or the cost of living adjustment, the inflation protection would come in the most. So if you choose a lifetime of income, you need to make sure that's going to increase if it's offered.
Right.
A lot of them don't even offer it. You have choices, and none of them have a COLA. That's the company you worked for and what options they give you as choices when you retire. So that's going to be up to them. But let's say you have choices, you have a lifetime of income, and now you have a cost of living adjustment you can choose. And sometimes they'll let you choose 1, 2, or 3%. Okay? So let's say it's a 3% cost of living. Most of the time, they're going to just build it in and tell you. But let's say there's a choice. There may be a few companies that still do that. There's not really a cost factor. The difference is, this is how much your check is if you choose to have the 3% cost of living adjustment. Here's how much your check will be for lifetime payout if you don't.
Right.
So the cost is actually the difference of the amount you're going to get for life. Again, there's so many changes with annuities. The least attractive, in my opinion, is the one that you get the pension from the company. They want to annuitize the money. They're hanging on to it. And if you pass away, there might be a death benefit, there might not. You also have to make another decision. So if you're saying, I want this biggest check, which is a lifetime of payout, there's another option is, well, what if I die, how much does my spouse get? That check is lower if your spouse gets any. If your spouse gets 25%, the check might be a little more, but if they're getting 50%, is less, because now they have 2 lives that they get half the money. Or if they get the full amount, that's the smaller check.
Right.
Because now that company's on the hook for 2 of you to make sure that you get a check for life. And so I'm really talking about pension money here, because the inflation riders are pretty much not an option in most annuities today. It's the old annuitized money,
Right.
which is more of a pension plan.
Yeah.
So it's a section that it just doesn't really, it's not what it used to be.
It's shifting. Everything is evolving all the time.
Everything.
Which, again, so important to have someone who keeps track of all of these changes, because there are so many of them. Well, let me ask you this. How do you help your clients determine if the cost, or if that difference in the amount is worth, if the benefit is worth that cost or that loss? Or
that difference in the payout.
Yeah.
That really depends on the client. In a situation where there's no spouse, well, a lifetime of payout with the largest amount, with a cost of living adjustment if you are younger, and maybe if you're of a certain age that you don't need it because you're getting such a much bigger check. You wanted to be able to use more money in your earlier years while you're still running and going and traveling.
Yeah.
And so all of that's going to matter when I meet someone. It's not a cookie cutter. It's not a one size fits all. Everyone is different. And I have people that come in and say, I don't care about leaving money, period. If there's any left, it's a bonus for them.
Yeah.
I want as much as I can get for as long as I can get it for me. And even if there's a cost, it's not affecting their check. It's affecting the benefit of the death benefit.
Right.
That all really depends on the client. Everything matters to what their situation is, when they need income, if they need income, what's more important, their death benefit, their income, whether long-term, everything matters to that person.
Specific.
So again, it's back to being their specialist and being able to pick and choose what to show a client, what to offer, what to recommend. And again, it's not one size fits all.
So that makes me think of another question I had, and maybe you kind of just answered it, but are there cases that you have found where inflation protection is not necessary? It's not something that client needs to worry about?
Again, that would have to do with their age. In my opinion, that's mostly about age. Because the inflation protection is really, if you live long enough, you don't want to erode the value of your money.
Yeah.
So it's all about the age of the client. And again, I would say it's all specific to the client's needs, their age, their health.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
It just matters.
What is the advice that you give to a client who is really worried about running out of money? They're really concerned about how inflation could affect their retirement income.
Most people that are worried about running out of money absolutely need a lifetime of income from an annuity. Some type of money that's going to come to them no matter what, because they have the fear of running out.
Yeah.
And that would be someone also that may not have as much money, right? So you have to be careful not to have all your money in annuities, and you have to be able to position other monies and show them how, hey, in the early years, maybe let the annuity grow. Let's use this money. And now that you've used up all this money, now you're older, and maybe now is the time to turn the annuity on. And we can make that decision over the years as we work through this together. And other money, maybe it's not at risk, so it's not going backwards, but it's just not in the annuity. So that's good because that will be there. Then other situations are maybe that money is in the market, and we're using that money first, and then the market crashes. We need the annuity sooner. So the opportunity's there. We have to make sure we have an annuity. We can get that income whenever we want.
Yeah.
Some annuities do not allow it until the 10th year.
Right.
After 10 years, that wouldn't work in that situation. So I have to really look at everyone's financials and be able to make sure that we're covering what they need and positioning them to be able to make changes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm always sad to say when we're out of time, but we're out of time for now. Before I leave you, I want to encourage you to reach out to Elise and her team. You can call them at 888-526-4184. As I am reminded every time I talk to Elise, the world of annuities is vast and complex, and it's ever evolving. So you really need someone on your team who can keep their eye on every little change that comes out, every little development, every little new feature that is an option for you, so you know you have the absolute best fit for your situation. Again, you can call Elise at 888-526-4184 or go to theannuityshow.com, or you can scan that QR code that you see on your screen. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time on The Annuity Show.